Okay, this video is going to be our introduction to the lathe. I'm going to go through the lathe operation, and then I'm going to have a separate video for our first project assignment. So you're going to want to view this video first, and then on the project assignment, as you're doing the project, you might need to go back and reference this video. But I'm making short little snippets so you don't have to kind of edit through a bunch of different videos when you're in the shop lab. You can you'll be able to access shorter videos that are going to be easier for you to get the information you need from the video demos when you're in the lab. So I'm going to give, everyone's going to have a hard card on the mill and the lathe, and I'm going to go over actually the hard card on the lathe. One side is engine lathe setup procedures, the other side is engine lathe machine cleanup procedures, and we're going to start on the setup procedures. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe all ways clean. Now, when you first get to the machine, the carriage, you'll see when we do the cleanup, the carriage here will be all the way to the right. So when I come on the machine, it's going to look like this, or at least should look like this, with the carriage all the way here. All my ways exposed. So I'm going to take a shop rag, and I'm going to wipe down all the ways here. Actually, let me grab a rag. Grab a rag from the blue bin over there. So I'm going to wipe these down, make sure this is all clean here of chips. This is always the best way to start. Using the yellow can, I'm going to oil the ways to the left of the carriage. And you can kind of see where the lathe guides are. So I'm just going to put a couple drops here on the front. And on the back way, maybe a couple more drops towards the middle here. That's really all I need. Now I'm going to move the carriage to the left. Number 4 is using the yellow cans. I'm going to oil the cross slide in the compound rest way. So I'm going to bring this all the way forward. And this is the cross slide. I'm going to oil here. And here. Now I'm going to bring the compound rest all the way back. And oil here. All the way forward right. I can see the oil here along the cross slide ways. It's kind of getting spread out. I can feel the movement of the dials a little bit smoother now that it's oiled. So it feels good. I'm going to bring this all the way forward, bring this back slightly. And then I'm going to actually number 4 it says, or number 5 it says, move the cross slide in and out. I'm going to wipe off the excess oil here and here. There's a little bit here and here. So that's wiping off the excess oil. Number 6 is be sure the chuck is securely mounted to the spindle. So there's a spindle nose here on the inside of the chuck. And I check this every semester, but you can see if you can actually rotate this around by putting it in neutral. And I can see that these pins are not lined up with the line. They're between the two V's. So I know this is tight, and all 3 of these are tight. This one has 3 cam locks that hold the spindle, the lathe chuck on the spindle nose. So now number 7 is chuck the workpiece. So, and I'm going to go through that part on our first project demo, where I'll be checking students out on the lathe. So I would go ahead and take my chuck key. I would wipe down in here the lathe chuck jaws. Make sure that these are all, there's 3 of them on this. It's called a universal or scroll lock chuck. So with round stock, I would stick my round stock in there, and I can tighten this, and this tightens. If you can see, it will tighten each 3 of the concentric lathe jaws evenly to chuck concentrically around a round piece. So after I do that, I would go on to number 8, mount the tool post to the left of the compound slot. And I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. I'll move this here. So the tool post, this is the tool post, and it has a T slot nut, and this is the T slot here. So I'm going to make sure that this can slide in here like this. And the way we're going to leave this setup for the most part in the semester is this compound rest is set at 29 degrees. If this were set at 0, and I can show you what that looks like. Each of the compound rest dial indicators are a little bit different, but if this was set to, let's see, this is 0. This is 0, so the handle of the compound rest is in line with the handle of the cross slide. I would go to 10, 20, 29 and a half, and that would be right about there. And this is where we're going to leave the compound rests during the semester. This is actually where we're going to do our single point threading. Occasionally, and actually on this first project, we're going to use the compound rest to do a chamfer at 45 degrees. So we will be moving this compound rest at 45 degrees to do that. But then when we're done with that cut, we'll move it back to 29.5 degrees from this 0. So this looks good. This tool post here, I'm going to bring this, so the face here is parallel to the spindle center line, and this face would be perpendicular to my spindle center line, and also face with the parallel to the face of the chuck here. It doesn't have to be exact, and actually depending on the tool grind I might move this slightly, but that's a good place to start. The other thing is when I mount the tool post, I'm going to make sure this T nut slide is flush with the side of the compound rest right here. It's okay if this tool post hangs off a little bit, that's fine. I'd rather have it hang off and then towards the middle, because it gives me more clearance here underneath my tool when I'm cutting towards the chuck. So I'm going to slide this here slightly here. Again, I might adjust this later. So I'm going to tighten this with a little bit of my weight on it. That's good enough. That's number 8. Number 9 is I'm going to mount the correct tool holder to the post. So on our tool bench, we've got 2. We've got a straight angled holder, and then we have an angled holder. So most of the facing and turning, we're actually going to use the angled holder, and I'm going to mount this. I'm going to set my straight holder down. I'm going to mount this here like so, and it's got a little set screw here, and this will bring the tool holder up and down depending on the center line of the tool. So this is how I would wet mount. This would be number 9. This is how I would mount the tool post. Now number 10, I'm going to clamp the tool bit.